Hello, my name is Sarah Book, and I'm a UW Flex student. This presentation is my final assessment for my Database Information Retrieval Systems class, and consists of a series of questions and my answers. First question. An advantage of client-server systems is improved security. Could this also be a disadvantage? And my answer to that is that as a general rule, improved security should never be a disadvantage. The only situation that could potentially present a problem would be if security wasn't set appropriately. So if a user needs to write a record to the table, but they were only given read writes, then they might not be able to do their job properly, and that would be a problem. Next question. A disadvantage of client-server systems is a single point of failure. What does this mean? So, to use the definition from PC Magazine, a system that contains only one component to do a job creates a single point of failure. An example of this would be hardware failure. If the only machine running my database server were to lose power, I'd be completely unable to access my data because I don't have a backup plan in place. In which situations would you want to ensure that some type of backup system was in place? So really, in any situation where data is business critical, a backup system needs to be in place. The single point of failure mentioned in the previous slide is an example of why you'd want a backup system. In most business situations, you don't want to risk losing your data if the system goes down. The only situation where a backup would be less important would be if the data is either not critical or there's such a small amount of data that it could easily be re-entered. What is scalability? A system that is scalable is one that can expand to accommodate increased utilization. So one example is scaling up by buying bigger, faster hardware to replace the original system. Another example would be to scale out and keep the original hardware but move certain processes or databases to new hardware. What is a backend processor? The backend processor is the machine that stores the database, also known as a database machine. For example, Oracle sells the Oracle Exadata database machine as a platform for running an Oracle database. What is a front-end processor? The front-end processor is used to access the database that is being hosted by the back-end processor. For example, when I'm at work and I use my Weiss Thin client to connect to a database server, my Weiss is acting as my front-end processor. Have you ever used Google Docs to share documents? Summarize your experience. I have used Google Docs on several occasions. Just as background, Google Docs can be used to create, edit, and share documents online, removing the need to store files on your local computer. So the reason why I first tried it was because I needed a friend to print a poster, but she didn't have Microsoft Word, so I couldn't just email her a Word document. So I ended up creating a Google Doc and sharing it with her so that she could access it from her own computer and use her home printer. I haven't done much collaboratively with Google Docs, but I often share documents with myself just so I can work on something and keep it in sync across multiple devices. Research client-side scripting languages, such as JavaScript, VB summarize what they can do. So very simply put, client-side scripting languages are code that's usually run in the user's browser, and this allows for custom dynamic content on web pages instead of being limited to static text. So you could use client-side scripting languages to display a warning message if the user tries to enter data that is invalid. You could convert data that was input into all caps. You could even let the user change colors on a page interactively. ASP.NET and ColdFusion are programming development frameworks, and PHP is a scripting language for server-side extensions. Research and summarize this type of software. So very high level, ASP.NET and ColdFusion are both server-side scripting languages, which means that the code is run on the server and the results are what is presented to the user. So both of these frameworks can be used to develop entire web applications. PHP can be used for both server-side scripting or for more general development purposes. So really anything from creating a member login page to performing mathematical calculations. And that was the final question. Thanks for listening.